The atmosphere was tense as Bernie Sanders and President Joe Biden appeared together on a live town hall event meant to address pressing issues like health care, wages, and economic inequality. What began as a civil discussion quickly escalated into a fiery confrontation that left viewers stunned. Sanders, visibly frustrated, interrupted Biden mid-sentence as the president defended his administration's policies. "Mr. President, with all due respect, the working class of this country feels abandoned," Sanders said, his voice rising. "You've promised transformative change, but what we've seen are half measures that leave millions of people struggling." The audience gasped as Biden leaned forward, visibly taken aback. "Now hold on, Bernie," he said, raising a hand in protest. "We've passed historic legislation to help working families, from the American Rescue Plan to expanded child tax credits." But Sanders wasn't having it. "And yet, Mr. President, millions of Americans still don't have health care. Workers are earning starvation wages while billionaires get richer. Do you call that progress?" Sanders' voice echoed through the studio, capturing the frustration of many who felt Biden's administration hadn't delivered on its promises. Biden, clearly annoyed, tried to regain control of the conversation. "We're building back better, Bernie. Change takes time. You know that as well as I do." But Sanders shot back, "Time is running out for the working people of this country. They don't need more empty promises, they need action." The moderator attempted to intervene, but the heated exchange continued. Sanders gestured toward the cameras. "To the American people watching this right now, ask yourselves, are you better off today than you were 2 years ago? Do you feel heard? Do you feel represented?" Biden, clearly flustered, retorted, "We've done more for this country in 2 years than any administration in decades. But nothing is ever good enough for you, Bernie." The crowd, a mix of Sanders and Biden supporters, erupted into applause and boos. Sanders pointed a finger toward Biden. "I've spent my career fighting for the working class, not Wall Street or pharmaceutical companies. It's time you stop catering to corporate interests and start delivering real change." The debate shifted to specific policies, with Sanders criticizing Biden's reluctance to push harder for Medicare for all and stronger labor protections. "Universal health care isn't a radical idea. It's a necessity," Sanders exclaimed, while Biden defended his approach as pragmatic and achievable. The clash quickly went viral, with clips of Sanders accusing Biden of failing the working class dominating social media. Hashtags like #BernieSpeaksTruth and #BidenFightBack trended for hours as the country debated the exchange. Supporters of Sanders praised him for speaking truth to power, while Biden's defenders accused Sanders of undermining the Democratic Party's unity. In the days following the town hall, pundits debated the implications of the confrontation. Some argued that Sanders had reignited the progressive movement, forcing Biden to reckon with unfulfilled promises. Others worried that the public rift between two high-profile Democrats could hurt the party's chances in upcoming elections. Sanders doubled down during a post-town hall interview. "This wasn't about attacking the president personally," he explained. "It's about holding leaders accountable. The people deserve better than the status quo." Meanwhile, Biden's team scrambled to contain the fallout. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre emphasized that the president was committed to improving the lives of working Americans, calling the town hall a robust exchange of ideas. The confrontation also reignited debates within the Democratic Party. Progressive lawmakers like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Rashida Tlaib voiced their support for Sanders, while moderates urged unity and focus on shared goals. "Infighting only helps the other side," one Democratic senator warned. As the story dominated headlines, polls revealed mixed reactions. While some saw Sanders' outburst as a bold stand for the working class, others felt it was unnecessarily divisive. Regardless, the exchange underscored the growing tension between the party's progressive and centrist factions. In town halls and rallies across the country, Sanders supporters began using the phrase, "You've let the working class down," as a rallying cry, demanding bolder action from the Biden administration. Meanwhile, Biden doubled down on his administration's accomplishments, listing job growth and infrastructure investments as proof of progress. The town hall clash became a cultural moment, inspiring memes, late-night comedy sketches, and even protest signs. One viral image featured Sanders pointing angrily at Biden with the caption, "Not enough for the 99%. Despite the fallout, both men attempted to move forward, albeit with clear tension lingering. Sanders continued to press for his progressive agenda, while Biden sought to balance pragmatism with the demands of an increasingly vocal left wing. The clash served as a reminder that the Democratic Party, while unified in name, faced deep divisions over its vision for the future. The aftermath of Bernie Sanders' pointed comments during the live town hall reverberated across the political landscape. Social media exploded with clips of the fiery exchange, each post reigniting debates about the Democratic Party's direction. Progressives hailed Sanders as a hero, finally speaking truth to power. Moderates, however, accused him of grandstanding and jeopardizing party unity at a critical time. In the hours following the broadcast, Sanders issued a statement reaffirming his stance. "The American people deserve leaders who will fight unapologetically for their needs," the statement read. "We cannot afford to delay on critical issues like health care, wages, and climate change." The White House responded swiftly, releasing a series of infographics on social media highlighting Biden's accomplishments, including infrastructure investments and expanded access to health care through the Affordable Care Act. The posts were accompanied by the hashtag promises kept. The confrontation became a focal point of late-night talk shows. One host joked, "It was like watching a family dinner where Uncle Bernie finally snapped at Grandpa Joe." The audience laughed, but the underlying tension between two influential Democrats was no laughing matter for party leaders. Progressive lawmakers quickly rallied behind Sanders. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez tweeted, "Bernie is saying what so many of us have been feeling. The working class deserves bold action, not half measures." Her tweet garnered hundreds of thousands of likes and further fueled the conversation. Moderate Democrats, however, were less enthusiastic. House Speaker Hakeem Jeffries defended Biden, calling him a steady hand in turbulent times. He added, "Infighting only distracts us from the real goal: defeating Republicans and delivering for the American people." Republicans seized the moment, using the clash to paint the Democratic Party as fractured and ineffective. "Even Bernie Sanders knows Biden is failing," Senator Ted Cruz tweeted. "Democrats can't even agree with each other, let alone lead the country." The confrontation also sparked grassroots activism. Progressive groups organized rallies under the banner "Fight for the Working Class," with signs quoting Sanders' line, "You've let the working class down." Meanwhile, centrist organizations urged caution, emphasizing the importance of unity in the face of GOP opposition. Polls conducted in the days following the town hall revealed a split among Democratic voters. While progressives overwhelmingly supported Sanders' critique, moderates felt his approach was too confrontational. Independents appeared divided, with some praising his honesty and others criticizing the public airing of grievances. At a subsequent press conference, Sanders elaborated on his concerns. "This isn't about personalities or egos," he said. "It's about ensuring that we fulfill the promises made to the American people." The remarks were well received by his base but did little to ease tensions within the party. Biden, for his part, continued to tout his administration's achievements. During a speech in Michigan, he listed job growth, infrastructure projects, and vaccine distribution as examples of his leadership. "We've done a lot, and we're going to do even more," he said, receiving a standing ovation from the crowd. Meanwhile, the media continued to dissect the clash. Opinion pieces flooded newspapers and websites, with some praising Sanders for his courage and others warning that his remarks could weaken the party ahead of the 2024 elections. The tension also extended to Democratic donors. Progressive fundraising platforms reported a surge in contributions following the town hall, while centrist donors expressed concerns about the party's direction. "We need a unified front, not internal warfare," one major donor said anonymously. Internationally, the incident drew mixed reactions. European leaders praised Sanders' focus on economic justice, while conservative commentators in countries like the UK and Australia used the clash to argue that left-wing politics were inherently divisive. The cultural impact of the confrontation was undeniable. Artists and writers began creating works inspired by the moment, from political cartoons to protest songs. A viral TikTok video featured reenactments of the town hall, with exaggerated impressions of Sanders and Biden arguing over a dinner table. As new controversies emerged in Washington, the clash remained a touchstone for discussions about the Democratic Party's identity. For progressives, it symbolized the urgency of addressing systemic inequality. For moderates, it underscored the challenges of balancing ambition with pragmatism. In the weeks following the town hall, Sanders introduced new legislation aimed at expanding Medicare and increasing the federal minimum wage. Dubbed the Justice for Workers Act, the bill faced immediate opposition from Republicans and lukewarm support from centrist Democrats. Biden, meanwhile, announced plans for a nationwide listening tour to engage directly with voters and address their concerns. The move was seen by many as an attempt to repair his image and rebuild trust among progressives. The confrontation also sparked debates about the role of age and experience in politics. Some commentators argued that Sanders and Biden, both in their 80s, represented a generational divide that needed to be addressed within the Democratic Party. Others emphasized the value of their decades of experience. As 2024 approached, the clash between Sanders and Biden became a defining moment in the Democratic primary season. Progressive challengers cited the town hall as evidence of the need for new leadership, while Biden loyalists framed it as a testament to the party's diversity of thought. The incident also highlighted the power of live television in shaping public opinion. Media analysts noted that the raw, unscripted nature of the town hall resonated with viewers in a way that carefully crafted campaign ads could not. Behind closed doors, Democratic strategists worked to bridge the divide between progressives and moderates. Meetings were held, compromises were proposed, but the ideological rift within the party remained difficult to mend. For Sanders, the town hall solidified his role as a leading voice for the progressive movement. His ability to articulate the frustrations of working-class Americans made him a hero to many, even as his critics accused him of being too idealistic. For Biden, the incident served as a reminder of the challenges of governing in a polarized political landscape. While his achievements were significant, they often felt overshadowed by the growing demands of his party's left wing. As the narrative continued to evolve, one thing became clear. The clash between Sanders and Biden was more than just a political spectacle. It was a reflection of the broader struggles and aspirations of a nation grappling with issues of inequality, leadership, and the future of democracy. The fallout from Bernie Sanders' explosive remarks during the live town hall continued to ripple across the political spectrum. Progressive leaders saw it as a turning point, with many rallying around Sanders' critique of Biden's policies. At a rally in Seattle, Sanders declared, "This moment isn't about me or the president. It's about fighting for the millions of Americans who feel left behind." Meanwhile, Biden's allies launched a full-scale effort to counter the growing narrative that his administration was failing the working class. Vice President Kamala Harris appeared on multiple morning shows, emphasizing the administration's achievements. "We've made historic investments in infrastructure, healthcare, and education," Harris said. "Let's not lose sight of the progress we've made." Public opinion polls painted a complicated picture. A clear majority of progressive voters felt Sanders' criticism was justified, while moderates viewed the clash as unnecessary infighting. Among independents, reactions were split, with some praising Sanders' candor and others expressing concern about the Democratic Party's unity. The media frenzy showed no signs of slowing down. Headlines like "The Democratic Divide," "Sanders versus Biden," and "Progressive versus Pragmatist" dominated cable news coverage. Political analysts dissected the implications, debating whether the exchange would galvanize or fracture the Democratic base ahead of the 2024 elections. On social media, the clash remained a trending topic. Memes and video clips of Sanders pointing at Biden during the town hall went viral, with captions like "Speak for the 99%" and "Grandpa Bernie means business." Biden supporters countered with posts highlighting his administration's accomplishments, but the progressive movement's online presence overwhelmed the conversation. As Sanders' remarks continued to resonate, grassroots organizations began organizing protests and rallies under the slogan, "No More Broken Promises." In cities like New York, Chicago, and Los Angeles, large crowds gathered to demand universal health care, higher wages, and stronger climate action. In response, the White House announced a new initiative called Communities First, aimed at addressing economic inequality through targeted investments in underserved areas. While the move was seen as a step in the right direction by moderates, progressives dismissed it as too little, too late. Republicans, ever eager to exploit Democratic divisions, launched a series of attack ads highlighting the confrontation. One particularly viral ad featured Sanders' line, "You've let the working class down," with the tagline, "Even Democrats know Biden is failing." Within the Democratic Party, tensions reached a boiling point. Progressive lawmakers like Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar publicly voiced support for Sanders, while moderates called for unity. "We can't afford to air our grievances in public," said one senior Democrat. "It only helps the opposition." Amid the political chaos, Sanders announced plans to introduce a new legislative package, the Working Families Rescue Act. The ambitious proposal included provisions for universal health care, a $15 minimum wage, and significant investments in renewable energy. While progressives hailed it as a bold vision, critics argued that it lacked political feasibility. Biden's team, meanwhile, worked to highlight the administration's successes, rolling out a series of public service announcements featuring testimonials from Americans who had benefited from expanded healthcare and infrastructure projects. The campaign, titled Promises Delivered, aimed to counter the narrative that Biden had failed the working class. The cultural impact of the confrontation extended beyond politics. Artists, musicians, and filmmakers began creating works inspired by the exchange. One viral short film depicted a fictionalized version of the town hall, with actors playing Sanders and Biden in an exaggerated, theatrical style. Late-night comedians continued to capitalize on the moment, with one host joking, "Who knew Bernie Sanders could throw verbal punches harder than a UFC fighter?" The audience laughed, but the comment underscored the intensity of the clash. International observers weighed in on the controversy, with some praising Sanders for his boldness and others questioning the implications for U.S. leadership on the global stage. "America's internal divisions are becoming increasingly visible," said a commentator on a British news network. As the Democratic Party grappled with its internal strife, independent and third-party candidates began to position themselves as alternatives. "The two-party system isn't working," said one Green Party candidate. "It's time for new voices to emerge." The business community also took note of the confrontation, with some CEOs expressing concerns about the potential for increased regulation under a more progressive administration. "Uncertainty is bad for the economy," said one prominent executive. "We need stability, not political theatrics." Despite the criticism, Sanders' popularity among young voters surged. College campuses became hotbeds of activism, with students organizing teach-ins and rallies inspired by his call for systemic change. "Bernie speaks for us," said one student at a rally in Boston. "He's not afraid to tell the truth." Biden, for his part, sought to mend fences with the progressive wing of his party. During a town hall in Pennsylvania, he acknowledged the frustrations voiced by Sanders and his supporters. "I hear you," Biden said. "We've made progress, but there's more work to do. And we're going to do it together." The confrontation also sparked debates about the future of leadership within the Democratic Party. Some argued that the clash highlighted the need for younger, more dynamic leaders, while others maintained that experience and stability were essential in turbulent times. As 2024 drew closer, the Sanders-Biden clash became a focal point in campaign ads and debates. Progressive challengers used it as evidence of the need for bold action, while moderates framed it as a reminder of the importance of pragmatic governance. Behind the scenes, Democratic strategists worked tirelessly to bridge the divide between progressives and moderates. Private meetings were held, compromises were discussed, but the ideological rift proved difficult to close. Despite the challenges, both Sanders and Biden remained committed to their respective visions. For Sanders, the confrontation was a necessary step in the fight for economic justice. For Biden, it was a reminder of the complexities of governing a diverse and divided nation. In the end, the clash served as a microcosm of the broader struggles facing the Democratic Party and the country as a whole. It highlighted the tension between progress and pragmatism, the challenges of leadership, and the enduring fight for the soul of American democracy.